Hello, good morning. My name is Bitia Pérez Díaz and I am currently in my fourth semester of my degree in teaching and learning English in secondary education. And today I will present my internship report entitled The OVA as a resource to promote enthusiasm for the English language. I was doing my intervention and observation practice at the school José María Morelos y Pavón, located at Calle 32, Cuarta Avenida, sin número, Colonia Estado de México, Ciudad Nezahualcóyotl, with the second grade Group I, afternoonship, under the direction of the teacher María Luisa Amaro Juárez. Well, let's get started. With this new educational modality derived from the COVID-19 pandemic, education in Mexico has had to face challenge. It is from here that distance class have arisen, and at the José María Morelos y Pavón School, new ways of working in the subject of English have been implemented. One of them is through tutorials, and in June, virtual sessions were held to reinforce these tutorials. This practice report is made up of the action plan, which in turn has an intention and a plan. The planning has the following elements: self-diagnostic, topic of study, purpose, justification, contextualization, and theoretical review. The action section, observation and evaluation, reflection, conclusion and recommendation, annexes and reference will also be described. So, action plan, the intention. Professional internships are an academic activity where the trained teachers are incorporated into their future file of work. These internships offer the opportunity to enhance the skills, methodologies, and techniques acquired so far. They also benefit from gaining experience as well as putting into practice knowledge and skills acquired not only in school but also through activities outside school. Planning, self-diagnostics. Initially, we worked with the new distance learning modality, designing tutorials in PDF format with an instructional methodology. In addition, a question and answer session was held on the Google Meet application every time a tutorial starts. We were working with the 4 tutorials. Here I show you some of the tutorials we were working with. And in the month of June, we carried out reinforcement class of the 4 tutorials previously seen. So the Google Meet application, each session lasted 60 minutes. As a result of this practice, the following can be highlighted. In terms of online interaction, there was very little participation of the part of the students. There is a lack of enthusiasm of the part of the students and a lack of more practical activities, games. Based on the interview with the head teacher of the group, the predominant learning style in the distant class is visual. Study 10. Lack of interest of learning in the subject of English due to poor family involvement and support. The lack of family support in relation to the English language means that the family cannot interact or give their opinion with the adolescents due to the lack of viability of the language in this region. This causes the learner to become disinterested in the English, taking as the only way out not to complete or half complete in order to save his or her subject. Purpose: that in the virtual reinforcement session, the students' interest in studying the English language in their own, listening to music, watching films in English, reading books, playing games, and interacting with their classmates. In short, becoming interested in the language. Justification. In my observation and intervention practice, I could observe in the students the little enthusiasm to learn the English language. For that reason, my proposal is to look for the alternatives so that the students manage to generate the interest for the language in an autonomous way. My proposal is flexible because it covers the context of the students by including his family, friends, likes and dislikes, and play. It is pertinent because we take into account the characteristics of the adolescents. The topic I choose is relevant because my goal is to have an impact of the taste for acquiring the English language in an autonomous way. Contextualization. The context in which we currently find ourselves with the pandemic belongs to a low social and economic conditions. Students don't have sufficient means to connect to their class, so few students are in their only classes. In the family environment, there is not parental participation and support, so that the results of the work are practically in the teacher-student interaction. My classroom interaction practice were reflected in two main activities. The first was to promote the class teacher with proposal for tutorials, and the second was the implementation of activities proposed in the reinforcement session using different platforms, as well as the implementation of novel activities. In my practice, I managed to understand topics such as the present continuous in the affirmative, negative, and question form, together with the rules of verbs in ing, countable and uncountable nouns, quantifiers, how many and how much. The evaluation was carried out in two ways: qualitative, which was by means of observation in the reinforcement session. Also, it was evaluated in quantitative way by means of the three tutorials graded. Theoretical review. First of all, situated learning starts from reality, from some lived experience. For this reason, situated learning will be implemented because of the reality that all teachers and students are currently experiencing, the global pandemic. We can say that enthusiasm is the animation of a person to put his or her utmost energy and perseverance into something. OVAs, virtual learning objects, are all the different technical programs such as video, audios, animation that are used for virtual classes nowadays to make the class innovate, motivating, and entertaining. Adolescents have their own characteristics, especially at his stage when they are going through physiological, psychological, social, and other change. These are some of the characteristics of adolescents, and it is important to mention that much of their behavior depends on their education at home and the context in which they develop. Talking a bit about the environments, the families, an extremely important environment for adolescents. The main function of the family are to protect and provide basic needs, food, resources, and etc. These are basic tools for the learning to get interested in the English language and learn more easily. Action. Initially, the class were done with this new distance modality, the design of tutorials in PDF format. For this reason, this intervention practice were carried out in two ways. The first one was to give contribution of activities for the 4 tutorials of the 3 periods. For the month of June, we encouraged reinforcement class of the 4 tutorial themes previously. For our first reinforcement session, the topic of the present continuous and the rules of the verbs in ing was addressed. We worked together with the second age. At the beginning of the class, we gave a quick explanation of the topic seen in the tutorial. Then we used the BAMS Bosley platform. In this exercise, we provided help to the students, and to close the class, the word vault application in the same way, 2 games, but this time without help. And the exercise had memes, characters for famous movies and TV series in order to motivate the students. For this first session, only 5 students logged on. However, their participation was good, and to a certain extent, we can say that they were interested in this new way of learning. It was no longer a tutorial, but games. There was more interaction. For the other session, we collaborate with the second H, G, and the third C due to the poor connectivity of the students. In the session, we reviewed the topic of the present continuous, but in this negative and interrogative form, quantifiers, how many, how much, countable and uncountable nouns. The platforms Blockhead, Kahoot, and Jeopardy were used. I have to say that these platforms were a success as the students start to participate much more. It could be said that in this reinforcement session in the month of June, there was enthusiasm of the part of the students, observation and evaluation. The evaluation, as mentioned above, was carried out in two ways: qualitative, which was by means of observation in the reinforcement session. Also, it was evaluated in a quantitative way by means of the graded tutorials. Reflection. In all educational practice, the goal should be to awaken the students' interest in acquiring the English language. The students' own characteristics should be taken into account, as well as their family and social environment. In conclusion, to conclude, I can say that implementing the virtual learning objects favored a lot so that the students were motivated and participate more in the English class. In addition, that the activities that the teacher carries out should favor the impact of language acquisition. And recommendation: observe in detail the gestures, movements, the student's response to the indication, activities, and evaluation. And well, that's all for me. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a nice day and see you soon.